The last few people with webcams on, please can you switch them off? The recording has begun. We will have a look this afternoon how you can use Google Meet, not just for meeting staff with staff, but also for how to possibly use it for staff teaching pupils. Each school will have their own policy and you need to follow whatever is set down in the policy for your school. Some schools are preferring meetings to be recorded if you are distance learning or distance teaching, so that pupils aren't in live sessions and staff aren't unique. So please follow whatever your school has decided. But what we're going to show this afternoon is what you could do with Google Meet and how you could then use it for the purposes that Google had created it. I am going to share my screen with everybody, so you will see yourself back in a minute. Okay, my screen should share in just a tick, and you will see what I see. We have a couple of options when using Google Meet. So a lot of you, if you've got G Suite in school and it's your chosen platform, you will be very used to using Gmail, and it looks very much like this. Meet is down here in the corner of Gmail, so you can start a Meet right within Gmail. You could go out over here to the app launcher, and Meet is a dedicated app on its own. You've also got chat there. We'll talk a bit more about chat in a moment, but you can start a Google Meet from there, or you can join a Google Meet from there if there's one already scheduled or you've been invited to one. So you don't need to leave Gmail. And also if pupils are using Gmail for emailing internally, if you've got it switched on in your school, they could have Meet available if you want to permit that policy in the admin center. Down the bottom here, you've got chat as well. So Meet is used for video calling and visuals. And chat is used for text-based communication. What makes it slightly more confusing at the moment, if I scroll down my list of apps, we've still got Hangouts. Hangouts used to be the app that Google promoted for video calls and for text chats. It's being phased out. And what will replace it will be Meets and chats. But even more confusingly, if you schedule a meeting in your calendar here, like the one I've got today, it is called a Hangout Meet, although Hangouts are going and Meet is the only thing to move forward. So Google Meets for videos and Google Chat for text-based chats. If you're going to use a chat, it's normally for sending a quick message to a colleague. You wouldn't use it for chatting to pupils for safeguarding reasons, but if it's something more formal, you still use an email. So first of all, we'll look at how we're going to set up a potential meeting and in there use Google Meet. Let's say then we have got a meeting tomorrow on a Friday. It wouldn't be very sociable, but we're going to pop it in for 4 o'clock. We're going to give it a title. I'm going to call it a test meeting. I'm going to say that it's 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock on Friday. It's an event. It could it's a task, or we could give it appointment slots. Another way of using calendar is to have appointment slots, and pupils can book slots to join you on a meet. So that means they get very small slots of 5 or 10 minutes, and then they can join meetings, and you could have that as a way of a quick pastoral catch up. We're going to say we want to add Google Meet and video conferencing. So then there's a link down there to join the Google Meet. You can add a room or location if you wish. So if it was going to be a physical place to come into school as well, you could say it's going to be also in the staff room or the PPA room. If you want more options, there are more hidden options there, so you can click it and expand it out. It's the same ones that had in a little bubble that popped up, but there's a few more. We could make this a repeating event and every day or weekly because it's a staff meeting. And you can allow or disallow people to invite others. So if this is a lesson and you're setting it up with pupils, I would untick the ability for guests to invite others along. And also if you untick see guest list, it means that pupils can't see each other's details, but you might want that privacy if you are a school working with someone externally. Maybe you're inviting in a social worker or somebody to work with the children or work with other members of staff. So you would have guest list disabled so they couldn't see each other. And from a GDPR point of view, that keeps their personal information safe because they can't see each other's email addresses. So if I save that up, that's in there, and if I click on it, I could join the Google Meet from there. If I wanted to, I could, from over there in my Gmail, for instance, that's where I was, I could click on the Meet, it would open another tab, and I'm using Meet now itself there, but here's a Meet that I'm not using, And I could either join a meet or I could start a meet, and it exists in its own app, and you can use it without actually having formally set up a calendar event. You can just start one ad hoc if you wanted to have a quick meeting with somebody that wasn't in school. Maybe you're the person that's rotated on at the moment and you're in school with the classes, but a colleague that you potentially job share with, or a member of the leadership team that isn't in school, are at home, where you could just jump on very quickly and have an informal video chat using Meet. It doesn't have to be a formal arrangement such as a staff meeting or a lesson. And you would schedule lessons in here the same way, so that pupils then get it sent to their calendar and you can be notified in their Google Classroom. When you're in Meet, and I'm going to come back over to the meeting we're in now, this is the view you would see. So if you were using it for a meeting with other staff and you've got your pupils here, or you've got your staff there on the side, they've got their video on, you can see each other. So hello, Alison, I can see you there. Everyone else has got their cameras off, it's disabled, and you can just see their initials. Or if you've assigned yourself a picture for your user, you'll see the picture there. So I can see the children around the world, I think it is there for Antonia. And then you have a meeting bar. At the moment I'm presenting, so it tells me that I'm sharing my computer. It also tells me in the top left-hand corner I've got a record button on, and it shows that I'm recording. The recordings, for anyone who's curious, go into your Google Drive. And if I pop over to my Google Drive and I went into my Drive, you've got a folder called Meet Recordings. And then in there, the Meet recordings end up being placed in there, so you can share them with other people, or you could drop them back into Google Classroom. If I jump back over to Meet, you can stop in there. That gets rid of that. If you want to know more information about who's in the meeting, you can go to Show Participants in the corner. And here's the list of people that are in the meeting. You can see from the red circle with the line through the mic that everyone else there has got their mic muted. You could also see if anyone's got their camera on, that would display there too. You could add more people in if you forgot to invite somebody to the lesson, or maybe there's suddenly a pupil that's in a distance learning lesson you didn't realize they needed to be invited, but you need to get them in. Well, you can quickly do that while you're in the video call. In your Meet, you can press Add People. And if you press Add People, it will look to the address book in your school, and you add people in by email address. I'll come out of that. You could also use the chat feature in the call. So you have a chat that's live inside there. So if I put something like welcome along and send it, everyone else that's in the Meet, another product very similar, suddenly get that. So you can send text messages to each other within the meeting. You can't do anything like attach documents or use any other sort of media. It is only text-based inside the meeting there. The other options you've got are along the bottom here. One that people find really, really useful is the closed captions feature. So if I pop back to the bottom and I go and turn on closed captions, you need to do this individually for the person on the other end. But once closed captions are on, if I come away from the bar at the bottom and click into the meeting, you will suddenly see that even if someone on the other end has got a learning need, or maybe they are in a different language, you can have this translate as well. The captions will start appearing on the screen. And then all of a sudden, if they can't get the audio, maybe the audio is not working on the computer, they can read what's going on by the words appearing on screen. You may have to slow down how you're speaking so you don't get too many captions turning up at once. You can't control that for other people. They have to switch it on themselves, and it's as easy as that to turn it back off. This is where you would start presenting if you need to. Over on the side here, there are some hidden dots. You may need to get the administrator for your school or your IT support. If you're a turn-on school, you can raise a support ticket, but recording isn't enabled by default. You need to go into what's called the admin center in G Suite, and you need to enable recording. There's an option you need to switch on, otherwise the recording option won't appear. You may not as a school want to record, but if you do, you might have to change that, enable that out. You can change your layout on your screen so these thumbnails appear in a different way. You can go out to a full screen mode to get rid of all the clutter around the outside and press escape to come out. The other way that you've got is turning on your captions down there. You can turn this into an audio phone call as well. If you need to, as a pupil, there's ways of reporting abuse. So that's a direct feedback, and you can flag abuse that's going on a potential session if you need to. And then in the settings tab there, it's very, very basic, but you may have more than one screen on your computer, so you can select what camera it uses and which screen you're using. And if you have more than one, they would appear cascaded down there. You can also choose the audio. So because on my laptop I just have the one microphone, I've only got the built-in microphone and I've got the built-in speakers. But if you had an additional speaker, maybe you're using a headset, then you could choose to use the headset speaker rather than defaulting to the speaker in the laptop. Just improves the audio quality. So ways that you can use it, obviously you can hold staff meetings, you can hold those lessons, but also you could use it for pastoral purposes. So I've seen a lot of schools booking over here, when you get the calendar, booking meeting slots, and you can have those one-to-one catch-ups with the pupils in your school. I've also seen it used for mental well-being with staff and having staff meetings, and it doesn't have to be its business purposes such as a formal staff meeting. It might be replacing a break time or a lunchtime catch-up, and you're having some tea and cake and a coffee, and you're just talking socially. So there's lots of different ways that you could use Google Meet. The way that it's set up, it's versatile, it's simple, it's straightforward, it's easy to access. And it's just up for you to decide how you want to use it, either staff to staff or pupil to pupil. As far as today's webinar is concerned, that's all we're covering, because it's meant to be a very small section of G Suite, and we're focusing on Meet and the chat feature. If you wanted to use the text, and you can use the chat here in the meeting. So at that point, I'll ask if anybody's got any questions, and you can unmute mics, and I'll quite happily try and field any questions that you may have. Also, if you've got any insight into how you're already using it in your school, feel free to unmute your mic and share it with everybody else on the meeting. Anybody going to be brave?
Just a question, Martin. Are we limited on time?
No, this isn't a Zoom situation where on a free account you only get 40 minutes. If you've got G Suite, and they've even put Meet now into free G Suite accounts outside of education, you can use it for an unlimited amount of time. It's not suddenly going to cut off after a period of time.
Cool. And can you just go back to the video situation? So somebody can record it. It wouldn't be the person who sorted out the meeting. Anybody could record the meeting. Is that right?
Again, that depends on the permissions that you give in the admin center. So you can choose that only the person booking the meeting is setting it up and running it is the person to record, or you can leave recording open to anyone that's in the meeting. So you might want to, for e-safety and safeguarding reasons, have control yourself if it's a staff to pupil lesson. But if it's a staff to staff, you might not be so picky. But unfortunately, there is no way to apply that granular policy. So it's an all or nothing. Either you let everybody be able to record, whether they're a pupil or a member of staff, or you make it so it's just you that can record.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? No? Okay. Well, I will say a thank you to everybody coming along this afternoon. We're going to have one of these short webinars on G Suite per week. So the next one will be next Thursday. The invites came out with the emails that were sent to schools this week. If you haven't seen that email to book for the future sessions, either speak to your Turn It On consultant or speak to your Turn It On regional manager, and they'll get that email resent. And it's the same way. You book onto an Eventbrite, you get a digital ticket, and it will send you a link to come along to these meetings. So I will